So hello, everyone. My name is Sarai. I am Parent University Coordinator of Network 4. Welcome to Face to Face, a series of virtual supports for CPS parents during the COVID-19 health crisis. Bienvenidos a todos. Mi nombre es Sarai. Soy la coordinadora de la Red 4 de la Universidad de Padres. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros el día de hoy y bienvenidos a Cara, una serie de apoyos para los padres de CPS durante la crisis del COVID-19. So as our district continues to navigate through challenging times, we want our families and parents to know we are here to support them. Family and Community Engagement and Education has launched a series of virtual workshops to help families build on their strengths. Offerings go from academics to mental health, arts and self-care, social-emotional learning, technology assistance, and direct access to experts from the field. You will be able to get that link in the chat to register for our mailing list to make sure you're able to get all this information in your email. Give me a quick second while I translate that to Spanish. So, bienvenido a todos otra vez. El departamento de Phase 2 ha creado una serie de apoyos virtuales para familias durante este tiempo. So, los que estamos ofreciendo es de academia, salud mental, arte y cuidados propios, aprendizaje de socioemocional, asistencia con tecnología y acceso directo para los expertos. El enlace va a estar en el chat para poderse registrar para nuestro correo electrónico y recibir toda esta información directamente a ustedes. Quick instructions for interpretation, please click in the glow button at the bottom of your screen and choose the available languages. And if you have any questions, please make sure to put them in our Q&A section at the bottom of your screen as well as we go through our presentation, and we'll make sure to give time at the end to answer those questions for you. Unas instrucciones rápidamente para interpretación. Van a poder en unos momentos, cuando entre la que va a estar dando las interpretaciones, va a poder ver un icono de un globo al abajo de su pantalla. Puede escoger español y va a escuchar a alguien más hablando en español y dándole la presentación en su lenguaje. Si tiene preguntas, por favor asegúrese que los ponga en nuestra sección de abajo que dice Q y A para nuestras preguntas y respuestas. Y al final de la presentación, nos aseguramos de contestar esas preguntas por ustedes. This session will be recorded. We want to share this knowledge with parents who are unable to attend. If you wish for your image to not appear, please click on the video icon. Otherwise, your image will appear on screen. If you do not consent to be a part of the recording, you may end the video call and wait until the session is available on YouTube. Our link will be in the chat for our YouTube channel. We record all of these sessions to make sure people who are unable to join us are able to join us at a later time at our YouTube channel. Rápidamente, esta sesión va a ser grabada y la puede encontrar después en nuestro canal de YouTube. El enlace para ese canal va a estar en el chat. Si gusta visitarnos después en nuestra página de YouTube y ver estos videos si se tuvo que perder de la sesión. Here is our list of our future workshops. Once again, our registration link will be in the chat. Please make sure to sign up to receive the details for all our wonderful workshops. Rápidamente, estos son unos talleres que vamos a tener en el futuro. Por favor, asegúrese de hacer clic en ese enlace y inscribirse para nuestra registración para nuestro correo electrónico y recibir toda esta información directamente a ustedes. Here are some more workshops that we're going to be having. Aquí son un poco más de los talleres que vamos a estar teniendo. And then for more information, please make sure to email title1@cps.edu or reach out to Norma Celedon, whose information will also be in the chat. Once again, a quick preview, our link for our registration link. And then also there will be a survey at the end of the presentation. Please make sure you take time to fill that out for us. Para más información, asegúrese a mandar un correo electrónico a Norma Celedon. La información para ella estaría va a estar en el chat, igual como los enlaces que ha estado mencionando durante la presentación. Very quickly, our wonderful presenter, Hannah Press. So as a physical activity specialist for CPS, Hannah works to develop resources, trainings, and tools to help schools implement CPS physical activity policies, specifically around recess and classroom physical activity. She also supports the work of partner organizations that lead physical activity programming before, during, and after school, and works to increase equitable access to physical activity across the district. Hannah strongly believes in the power of physical activity and play to help youth develop skills that translate into the classroom and real life setting. Rápidamente, la presentadora de hoy se llama Hannah Press, trabaja para el departamento físico con CPS. Y hay un poco de detalles sobre ella, pero voy a dejar que Hannah se presente un poco más. Hannah, whenever you would like to present, I will stop sharing my screen. Muchas gracias a todos por la paciencia. Thank you everyone for your patience, and I hope you enjoy this presentation.
Thank you all for being here for the Whole Child face-to-face series on physical activity, the benefits and tips for keeping your young person active at home. So as mentioned, my name is Hannah Press. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the physical activity specialist in the Office of Student Health and Wellness. The Office of Student Health and Wellness aims to remove health-related barriers to learning and advance health equity in Chicago. Here is a breakdown of our office and the work that we do. As a physical activity specialist, I sit on the health promotion team, working to promote healthy school environments. This presentation is part of our Supporting the Whole Child series. CPS is committed to ensuring that every child in every school is healthy, safe, supported, challenged, and engaged. This whole child framework shown here on the right drives our work around health and wellness and provides a roadmap to help stakeholders support the physical, mental, and socio-emotional health of our students. The two components of the framework that we are going to focus on today are circled in red. They are physical activity and family engagement. So the objectives. At the end of this presentation, you'll be able to share the importance of physical activity for both physical and mental health, explain how physically active students perform better in school, and share strategies for incorporating physical activity at home. So what is physical activity? Physical activity is any bodily movement. Moving your body in any way is being physically active. How much do students need? Kids and teens aged 6 to 17 should get 60 minutes of physical activity every day. The 60 minutes doesn't have to all come at once. It can be broken up into smaller pieces with several different activities adding up to be that 60 minutes. Remember, lots of things count as physical activity. Any movement. It could be dancing, it could be walking, it could be running, it could be playing. All of those activities add up to those 60 minutes per day. So what has been shown to get kids active? Well, the majority of opportunities for students to be active actually occurs in the physical school building. Physically being in school creates almost 60 minutes worth, that's the goal per day for students, worth of opportunities for physical activity. That's through in-class activity, daily PE, recess, and after school. That's why our policy and guidance supports providing physical activity in schools. But we know that some students are not in the building every day or at all with hybrid and remote learning. So that's why it's extremely important to encourage physical activity at home. Within the context of the WISC model that we showed earlier on, we encourage schools to develop a comprehensive school physical activity program. This is an approach where schools just think about all the opportunities during the day that they can get kids active, before, during, and after school. And one piece of this is family and community engagement. So like we're asking schools to think about all opportunities for the day students can be active, we want to encourage families and caregivers to think about all the opportunities during the day where you can add in movement to your day. So we know that physically being in the schools helps to get students active. So what is the district doing to promote physical activity in schools? One way is through policy. The local school wellness policy establishes requirements for all schools to ensure healthy school environments. It specifically calls out daily opportunities for physical activity and recess. It says all schools pre-K to 12 must provide their students with daily opportunities for physical activity or movement before, during, and after school. Also, schools with students, K to 8 students, must provide daily opportunities for recess for at least 20 minutes. Schools must adhere as much as possible to these policy requirements regardless of whether it's remote learning, hybrid learning, in-person learning. No matter what type of instruction, schools should be providing these opportunities for students. So for example, if a student is in full remote learning, schools can schedule a break in the middle of the day for self-directed lunch and recess. But during hybrid learning, when our students are in the buildings, students must be receiving that 20 minutes of recess during the school day. So why physical activity? Engagement in physical activity across childhood is key for promoting health across one's entire life. Physically active children are more likely to have long-term positive outcomes, both health-related outcomes. They're more likely to be healthier as they get older, but there are other non-health related outcomes that are positive, like higher annual earnings and greater productivity at work. The environments where children spend time and the people with who they interact play a critical role in helping kids develop positive physical activity habits. So as a parent or guardian, you play a key role in shaping how your young people see and participate in physical activity, whether they find it fun and enjoyable, and whether they participate regularly. I want to highlight at the very end of this continuum, it says, active parents associated with active kids. When parents and caregivers are active themselves and model active behaviors, their children are more likely to be active as well. I want to highlight a few ways that physical activity can specifically play a role during the COVID-19 pandemic. Being physically active reduces the risk of several chronic diseases that can negatively impact COVID outcomes. Exercise also can improve your heart fitness and boost your immune system. And we know that if these systems have improved function, you can be more resilient in fighting COVID-19. Finally, physical activity has been shown to reduce the severity of mental health symptoms like depression or anxiety that many people have been feeling, especially during this pandemic. Physical activity is more important than ever and can not only have all those other long-term benefits for health, but can help you build resilience in the face of COVID-19. So maybe you've experienced the feeling of being more productive after being physically active. There are tons of great benefits to being physically active, not just those endorphins that cause that positive, productive feeling. Physically active students actually have more active brains. So these two images are taken from the top of the head and represent the average amount of brain activity when students sat down for a test. So the group on the left, before sitting down for the test, sat quietly for 20 minutes. The group on the right walked for 20 minutes, just light walking before sitting down for the test. And so the color blue represents lower brain activity, and the color red is higher brain activity. So you can see the group on the right are students who walked for 20 minutes before taking the test rather than just sitting. Their brains are much more lit up. It's more colorful. And that means that their brains are more active and that they're more ready to learn. So being physically active can actually positively change your brain and help it be more active and prepare students for learning. There is a ton of research that shows that physical activity is not only good for your physical and your mental health, but that there are benefits specific to academics. When students are physically active, there are positive impacts on their concentration and memory, so they can concentrate better and their memory is improved. And there's longer term impacts on academic performance, like increased grades, higher test scores, higher graduation rates. And even it can be linked to increased attendance, decreased dropout rates, and decreased behavior problems. So the key takeaway here is that healthy and active students are better learners. I want to discuss some connections between physical activity and social emotional health. Physical activity gets the brain and body moving, helping youth recognize the mind-body connection and the things they may need to recenter and refocus, building that self-awareness and self-management. Physical activity is a natural mood booster. We talked about those endorphins that you get, that positive, good feeling after moving. And it can help reinforce some of these socio-emotional skills. If children are participating in physical activity often throughout the day, they can practice skills and build confidence to promote long-term engagement in physical activity. You can even think about when doing physical activity with your child, try to call out the skill that you're building. Maybe say, okay, we're going to do yoga and meditation, and this is a reset. Or students can reflect on how the movement made them feel. Maybe play a song and ask, hey, I want you to dance how this makes you feel. And so creates these opportunities for self-awareness and reflection. Also, when thinking about decision making, try to include the youth and have them lead the activity. And that can help with that child-driven decision making. So we just talked about why physical activity. It's good for your mental health, physical health, socio-emotional health. And we know that a lot of physical activity can happen in the school building, but in the time we're at, not all of our students are in the building every day. So I want to go over some tips for physical activity at home. First and foremost, any movement counts. When I said, what does physical activity mean? It means moving your body. So consider even adding short bursts of movement into your day. Try to incorporate several of those, maybe every hour, just a couple of minutes, even just standing up out of your desk and moving your body a little bit. You don't have to think about going from 0 to, I'm going to do 60 minutes of activity a day. We just want to say any movement counts. Start small. Try to add short movement opportunities into blocks of time where you or your child is not physically active. Maybe adding a movement opportunity when they're transitioning between synchronous and asynchronous learning. Or maybe once the school day is over, your student plays video games for an hour and a half. Well, maybe try to say, hey, every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes, let's do a quick movement break. So really trying to break up long periods of sitting with any kind of movement. Consider setting a timer, saying, okay, we're going to do this together for 5 minutes. And then once the 5 minutes is over, you can return back to what you were doing. But remember, start small. Any movement counts. Build it into your schedule. Plan time for movement in your day. Consider maybe a movement break every hour. You could set a timer on your phone. Or do you have a lunch hour? And does your student have that break if they're learning from home? Try to incorporate a short movement at the beginning of your lunch break. And consider maybe pre-dinner movement break. If it's nice out like it was today, if possible, try to go for a short family walk. Try to really just think about what opportunities are in your day to add a little bit more movement. Just like adults, kids like a schedule and want to know what is going to happen. So if possible, create consistency. Maybe every Wednesday morning, we're going to do a family dance party before dinner and build that into your schedule. Be an active role model. This one's really important. One of the best ways to encourage healthy choices in children is to model those choices as an adult. By engaging in healthy behaviors yourself, you are setting a positive example. So maybe you participate in movement together with your child. Or maybe, your time in the morning before your child wakes up is your time to move. And that's great too. But what you can do instead is then share why physical activity is important to you and why you move to your child. They could see that, oh, wow, they value physical activity and they find time in their day to be physically active. Try to avoid linking physical activity and discipline. We tell this to school staff too. We know we don't want anybody to take away recess. We don't want running laps to be seen as a punishment. We want to promote enjoyment of movement and being physically active, and do not want kids to associate physical activity with negative feelings. Be flexible and creative. Try several different types of movement to see what you and your family enjoy. It could be yoga, Zumba, cardio, strength, walking, any of the above. And you don't need fancy equipment to move. Household items can be used. You can use balled up socks or maybe soft balls if you want to do tossing or throwing inside your house. You could buy a pack of balloons and play keep the balloon up to get your family active. You can create an obstacle course in your home or play your favorite song and have a dance party. You can create simple challenges like a minute to win it activity with physical activity. And try not to discount anything. I heard from one parent whose child wanted to use their scooter inside their house in the middle of the winter. And this parent was like, that will never work. We can't scooter inside. We don't have enough room. But the kid was creative and said, hey, it looks like there's space around the kitchen island. And they had space in their kitchen. So the kid put on their helmet and scootered around the kitchen island for 20 minutes. And that's the kid being active and doing something that they enjoy and chose, which is great. So don't try not to discount anything. Also ask your children for ideas like that one like the example I just mentioned. Maybe ask them to show you a game they play at recess, or ask them to demonstrate their favorite dance moves. If your kid is involved in sports, ask them to be your coach and show you how to do a certain move or a game. Or maybe if dancing is your thing, suggest that they put together a playlist for a family dance party. Really those opportunities for the decision-making on the part of the student. Want to just highlight a couple creative ways to incorporate movement into your day. Get more from your chores. So something like vacuuming, you may think, vacuuming is a task I have to do. It's annoying. I do it every week, but that's movement. Add some music, add a little bit more movement, and there's some of your movement for the day. Even if you're brushing your teeth, try to balance on one leg, maybe hold a wall sit. Just really think about being creative and adding movement into the things that you already have to do. Here are some other examples. When checking the mail, do you have time to take an extra lap around the building, or maybe take the stairs back up to your apartment instead of the elevator when you check the mail? Think about those tasks you have to do every day and consider ways that you can add movement in. Track and celebrate your activity. This one's also super important. You want to set a goal as a family together. It can be move once every day or move for 15 minutes 3 times a week. As a family, come up with a goal that you all choose together, keep track of it, and hold each other accountable. And make sure that you celebrate your hard work and success. Think about something that would work to celebrate. Maybe it's going to a park that they love, or maybe it's adding more screen time and an extra movie night for you all to do together. So those were some general tips, but I also want to add resources for physical activity at home. There are tons of great free resources that exist. So if you don't know where to start, I'm going to share some resources with you. And after I wrap up, I will put these slides in the chat so that you can click through the resources yourself. There are great screen-based activities that exist. Like I said, in all of those topics: yoga, mindfulness, cardio, strength. Lots of free videos that exist that are made for kids to be active. So we recommend building your own library of activities that you and your children enjoy, and bookmark the ones that are family favorites. I've linked in here an existing library that I've put together that has over 50 free resources that you can use. So I'll share that after this presentation. You can sign up for the Movement Minutes newsletter. This is one place you can find free activities. If you sign up, I'll also put that in the chat, you can get a set of daily movement activities in your inbox every week. This slide also has a list of all the free activities that have been shared since the newsletter began in September. A great place to start if you're not sure where to begin is to follow along to a physical activity calendar. There are various free calendars that exist. I've linked 3 here, and it's a great way to build physical activity into your schedule and track your progress. One, you may try an activity that you would have never thought of, and you can track it by putting a check mark every day when you participate. Maybe even having your young person be the one to check the box every day after you do the activity together as a family. I just wanted to share 2 examples of those physical activity calendars. Like you can see, there's an activity for each day and you can follow along. So maybe you want to set a goal for the month of April and you say, as a family, we are going to complete one of these calendars together. And you can track your progress to it and say, at the end of the month, we're going to have a family movie night together. That's a great way to start thinking about incorporating physical activity into your family and into the day. Here are some examples of specific parent-facing physical activity resources, and all of them are low to no equipment. As I said, you don't need fancy equipment to be active and to move at home. So we want to encourage you to try out some of these specific parent-facing resources that exist. Just wanted to highlight 2 of them. As you can see, they have lots of ideas for simple ways to add movement into your day. Some take-home messages. Physical activity has physical, mental, and socio-emotional health benefits, and physically active students have more active brains. Youth should be getting 60 minutes per day, but that movement doesn't have to all come at once. It doesn't have to be one 60-minute chunk. Any movement counts towards those minutes. And start small. Add intentional opportunities for physical activity into your day. Even short ones, a couple minutes, even 30 seconds standing up and then sitting back down are important. As you and your child get comfortable with these activities, find ones that you like and try to move for even longer periods of time. Build movement into you and your child's schedule. Look for opportunities in your day that you and your child might have time together to move. Maybe during your lunch break, before school, before dinner. Or as I said, those long periods of sitting where you can add a break in, the transition between asynchronous and synchronous learning, the middle of the day, every couple of hours. Set movement goals as a family and choose achievable goals and start small. You don't need to say, I'm going to run a 5K in a month, but you can say, as a family, we're going to move for 10 minutes every single day. That's going to be our goal. Be creative and flexible. Try several different movement options and try not to discount something as not possible or your child wouldn't be interested in that. Finally, be an active role model. The place and the people that children spend time with play a key role in helping shape how they view physical activity. We know that everyone has an extremely busy schedule, but if your child sees that you prioritize movement in your day, your children are more likely to be active as well. And now I will stop sharing my screen and see if there are any questions.
Awesome, Hannah. Thank you so much for all that great information. Very quickly, if you guys have any questions, please make sure to put them in our Q&A section so we can take this wonderful time that Hannah is giving us so she can answer a couple of questions for us. I do have a couple here now. One that came in is, how will CPS be doing physical activity during the COVID-19 crisis / will they be including gym time during the student school day?
Great question. Yes, so that policy that I mentioned, that local school wellness policy, schools should still be adhering to it regardless of what's happening, whether it's remote learning, hybrid learning. So students should be getting recess if they're in person, that 20 minutes per day, should be getting opportunities for physical activity or movement breaks, no matter whether they're at home full-time or in the building. And definitely PE is still happening. Everybody has to be a little more creative with space. Now that it's getting nicer, there may be more time to go outside. But definitely the expectation is that children are given movement opportunities when they're at school.
Awesome, thank you. Another one is connected to this question. How should we prepare students for this more restricted gym time?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that is true is that children are going to have to wear face coverings during all this activity, which we know can be hard. So one way to prepare is, practice moving with masks on. When you go to the park as a family, make sure you're wearing your mask. And if we know that opportunities for PE are going to be limited, try to find other opportunities at home that you can encourage more activity. If they're not going to be getting PE every day, we still want to aim for that 60 minutes. So, what are other ways that you can add movement when they're at home or before and after school to help them reach that 60 minutes?
Awesome, thank you. So kind of connect to this as well. Someone asked, so no contact sports?
That is a great question. I know that sports department, some sports have been starting following health protocols. I would say definitely follow up with your school to see what is being offered. I've talked about before and after school options, and some schools are starting to offer after school clubs, including physical activity clubs, maybe a running club or a soccer club, but it really is on a school by school basis. But we should know that all the health and safety protocols are going to be the same. So hand washing, social distancing as much as possible, mask wearing, all of the above.
Awesome. So back to a little bit of the tips that you were giving. How can we make it something rewarding instead of making it look like a chore? Prizes?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I would say you know what motivates your your young person. So think about right, what motivates them. Maybe it's prizes, maybe it's extra time at the park, even if it's a little bit extra screen time. There's always trade-offs, and we understand that. But I would say really find what motivates your student and focus on that, and always ask and try to find activities that they choose. Say, okay, if we're going to move for 10 minutes, you get to choose what we're going to do today, or maybe give them some options, and then they feel like they have power over the decision that's going to happen.
Great, great. Yes, thank you. So another question coming in. So I have children from different age groups. Can I implement the same exercise routines for all of them at the same time?
That's a great question. If they're up for it, yes. Also, maybe there's an opportunity for your older student to help the younger one practice some of the moves or model some of the moves for them. So definitely, if your youth are up for that, do it. But also, there may be some videos that are geared towards really little ones. And the older student may be like, I'm not interested in this. So it may take a little bit more of saying, okay, well, maybe you can participate in this with your little sibling, but then you could also find something that you would enjoy.
Awesome. So please make sure we have our question and answer option at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions, this is the time to ask them. I know a question coming in if it's someone going to put those slides up, and I see Hannah just did that for us in the chat for a couple more resources options there that we're all able to look through. Does anyone have any other questions? I know our chat is open, and so is our Q&A section if anyone has any questions. Okay, great. So are some students able to have an exemption for gym? So be excused from gym during COVID-19?
That is a great question. I don't totally know the answer to that. I would recommend reaching out to your school and your PE teacher.
Great, okay. Let's see. Trying to look for some questions here in the chat. Okay. Please make sure to take advantage of our Q&A option in the bottom of your screen if you have any questions. I know this presentation gave a lot of wonderful information and a lot of great tips on how to involve your students for physical activity. I know it's something that we're all, I think, having a couple, some difficulty with, and I know I saw a lot of tips that I'm going to be using at home as well now, to involve our students a little more with this exercise routines. Does anyone happen to have any more questions?
And I just want to reiterate, I know it's tough. We're all busy. We've all been stuck inside for a really long time, but really just finding opportunities to move your body in whatever way works for you and whatever kind of movement that you enjoy. That's really what I want the take-home message to be today.
Awesome. Question coming in. So remote learning should include some type of physical activity.
Yes. In the remote learning guidance that went out to CPS staff, it is an expectation that schools provide opportunities for physical activity for their students. So that could be playing a quick video, doing it all together, a short movement break that the teacher leads, but that's definitely an expectation.
Awesome. If you see no physical activity being done, is there a way to request this from schools, I'm assuming?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that one, you can maybe share some of the resources that have worked with you and say, I know this is an expectation. Try to have that conversation with your child's teacher. Also, feel free, I can add my email, if maybe the teachers just aren't sure how to include activity into their day. So you can connect them with me and I can help share resources, or you can share some of the resources that were shared here today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hannah. So a comment coming in the chat. It is in Spanish. Going to say it in Spanish very quickly, then translate it to English for everyone. Por ejemplo, mis niñas regresaron a la escuela, pero el gym lo agarran como salón y ven video. La verdad no es lo mismo. ¿Cómo trabaja la escuela para que funcione igual que cuando iban al gym? Que es un espacio mucho más grande que el salón. Basically, she's saying her girls went back to class, but the gym, they are doing it in their classroom and they're watching videos. She said it's not really the same for her. How is the school doing it as to where they're kind of getting the same feeling as to where they were in the gym where there's a lot more space?
Yeah, it's really challenging right now because we know schools don't have as much space. I'm really hopeful that as the weather gets nicer, PE classes will be able to go outside. And so that will feel more like traditional PE. But we also have to think, equipment can't be shared as much as it used to be able to share during PE class. So everybody's trying to be creative, but hopefully there'll be more time outside and students should still be getting that 20 minutes of recess every day, which is much more of that free play, go outside and run around. So hopefully that can fill some of that gap.
Great. A tip coming in from one of our parents here watching us. So jumping rope is something our family has been doing. We each have a jump rope and it's a little competition between us. So that's a great tip as to involving students and making it something rewarding.
I love that. Yeah, that's super creative. Jump ropes. It's such a simple thing, even if you don't have a traditional jump rope, if you have a rope laying around, or even if you don't have one, you could do fake air jump rope. You can be creative, and I love that idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I feel like especially for the parent who asked earlier about the age gap between all her children, I think that's something that goes all around for all age groups. And that's something, it should be fun to see how students interact in that game.
Absolutely. And the goal or the challenge can be different depending on the age of the student, but they're both doing the jump rope activity.
Exactly. They're both very involved in the game. I think that's something that I'm going to be doing with my family as well. Perfect. Well, if there's any more questions, please make sure to put them in the Q&A section or in the chat. We have a couple more minutes. If you have any questions, please make sure to ask them away. Perfect. Well, I think if there's no more questions, we are going to wrap up. I see Hannah has graciously put her email in the chat. If anyone has any more questions or would like to reach out, please make sure to do that. I thank you all for being here today. Please make sure to register for our upcoming health and wellness workshop next Monday. You will all be receiving that as well. And once again, there is Hannah's slides in the chat for more resources. I appreciate being here with us today, and I hope everyone has a great night.
Thank you all so much.
Be safe, everyone.